What'd you think about RDA versus Michael Chiesa?
I knew Chiesa was a great grappler. His jiu-jitsu has
Man.
really shined now, especially now at 170. He was always an excellent grappler, but he's really putting some great performances together at the 170 division.
I think he found his weight class at 170.
He's
built perfect,
huge.
built
He's
perfect for
enormous.
it.
Like just to look at RDA, and they did say RDA's camp said that he was 185 come fight night.
Oh, okay.
So if RDA was 185, Chiesa looked sizably bigger than him.
90 plus.
Rafael Dos Anjos is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt from Brazil.
Former world champion.
Unbelievable fighter and grappler at that. And to see Chiesa win all of those positioning fights, first of all, it was a great fight if you're a fan of grappling.
Right.
And RDA did an excellent job of maneuvering and staying safe and timing escapes and stuff like that properly.
Scrambles.
That said, Chiesa definitely got the better of the grappling exchange and of the fight in general. I thought RDA in the second round was starting to let his hands go a little bit, and the boxing was kind of coming through for him. But Chiesa was just so good with the pressure and the takedowns and all of that. And a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, like the Diaz brothers, for example, you see them, they're really good, in the clinch, and then when it goes to the ground, they're very good from the bottom. They're not necessarily guys that are just going to get in your face and take you down. They're going to get in your face and punch your face, but they're not going to get in your face and take you down. Chiesa's got this strange style where he's got a very heavy jiu-jitsu base, but he's using these really great traditional jiu-jitsu takedowns and back takes from standing position and pressure, almost like a wrestler, but with sort of different techniques. I thought he did an excellent job against a high-level black belt, former world champion. I think he's made his call out. He wants to fight Colby Covington. And at first blush, if you told me the day prior to that fight, Michael Chiesa wants to fight Colby Covington, I would say, okay, there's really nothing to see here. Michael Chiesa is going to get mopped up by Colby. Colby's got way too heavy of a wrestling pressure.
He just went with 5 rounds
with Kamaru. I don't know now. I still don't think that I would pick against Colby in that fight. I'd have to see. I don't know. I would just have to make my prediction as the fight got a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But to see what Chiesa did to RDA and to see how dominant he is on the ground and what he can do from different positions and how creative he is with his actual closing of the distance and taking down, I think that he would put up that would be a very interesting stylistic fight. Colby's definitely the better boxer, but Chiesa, I think, and I don't even know that Chiesa is the better grappler, but I think once it's on the ground, Chiesa would be the more dominant of the two. And I think that would make for a very interesting fight.
Yeah. I mean, it was not one of the fights that was on my mind. This card wasn't one of the biggest ones, so I wasn't really thinking about call-outs for these opponents and all the winners and whatnot. But it makes great sense to see. And, usually people say losers fight losers and winners fight winners. But Colby is essentially a winner after that last fight. I mean, he didn't beat Kamaru Usman, but, his stock went up, and he's still right there in the top and clearly showed that he's one of the best fighters in the 170 division. Probably a second.
It's like a 1A, 1B situation with him and Kamaru.
And I think Chiesa saw that was smart of him to call him out. From that standpoint, you have to respect somebody who is able to take the short amount of time you get on a microphone, cut it in half, make it even shorter than what you usually get, and just call somebody directly out. So anytime somebody calls a name and it's somebody feasible that they could actually get, I'm always down for it. And usually the matchmakers are always down for it.
Yeah, well, it's so funny that the fighters, I think, a lot of times can see certain things even better than the matchmakers at times. Yeah. And the matchmaker, Sean Shelby and the crew do an excellent job of making fights at the UFC, but sometimes it just takes that second in the octagon after a fight's over.
Yeah.
Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor was never on anybody's radar, and Nate Diaz made it on everybody's radar, and it's going to turn into what will be one of the best trilogies of all time.
Yeah.
And so I think kudos to Chiesa for an excellent performance against a world champion. Here's the question. What does RDA do from here? RDA is obviously going into the Hall of Fame. He's still in his mid-30s. He's not over the hill, but he's got
Top
a few
contender.
years left.
Yeah.
I don't think he can go back down and be competitive at 155 against Ferguson and Khabib. And I don't think that he is going to be climbing the mountain and challenging for the 170 title. So what does he do? Does he have some fun? Does he do fights that make sense? Does he take a lighter schedule? Because RDA is a game opponent. If there's anybody that says yes to a fight, it's RDA.
Yeah. If he's on a card, you know that at least one of those fights on that card is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I would like to see him fight some of these young, hungry lions, because he's one of those gatekeepers. He's a true test to see if somebody's at that elite level.